Julianna, we're here, man. A day that you have been waiting a long time for. How does it feel to be a couple days away from a world championship fight?
It feels great, Brett. I'm ready. I am so ready. I am laser focused, and I'm ready to do the dang thing.
Is it everything that you thought it would be so far? I know we're only Wednesday, but
yeah, definitely. You know that you're walking into a fight with tons of media, tons of attention. You know, you're going into the spotlight, and that's what I've been asking for, and I'm getting what I want.
Is that the biggest difference? Is just the spotlight? How about like in camp or anything else? Like, what's the biggest difference between your first title fight and every fight previous to it?
Well, I've never been in a title fight before, and I've been wanting this type of a situation for many, many years. I've been working very hard to get to this point. I think that the difference is we're finally here. You know, it was supposed to happen in August. It didn't happen, but I knew that if I could stay patient, that eventually we would be fighting. And so the time has come, and the door is knocking, and it's time for me to open it up and walk on through.
So I would think that when you've been looking forward for something for so long, and that this is your first title fight, that like was there ever a moment where your coaches were like, "Hey, Julianna, we actually need to pull you back a little bit, like you're actually training too hard for this fight"?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely been times in my career where coaches have always wanted to rein me back a little bit, but I'm like a workhorse, you know. I have to wake up in the morning and I have to go and do something, and if I don't do something, then I feel like, you know, the day is a loss, or that I'm not working as hard as I should be. So I never like that feeling. I am of the mindset of leave no stone unturned and continue to work up until the day of the fight. And so whether the fight was going to happen in August, whether the fight was going to happen in December, I think patience was the key to victory here, and to just make sure that I was patient throughout the camp, not get injured. I think that that's the biggest thing, is to just not get injured, and to make sure that I stay safe so that I can make it into the octagon on Saturday.
Yep. And how about the aspect of this underdog thing, you know, and you referred to it as a sacrificial lamb type thing. I'm sure that you were expecting it whenever this moment came, but how has it been, you know, compared to some of your expectations? How's it been dealing with that?
I mean, if you just look at any of the media or anything that the commentators say, you know, no one has ever given me a fair shake. They are always considering me an underdog, and they're always counting me out. You know, I was counted out on The Ultimate Fighter. No one thought that I was going to win, and I ended up winning a show that was one of the toughest competitions in sports. I think that when Amanda fights me, she's not going to be thinking, oh, I'm just fighting some underdog. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's going to be playing through her mind. So it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as an underdog. We're going to go get in a fist fight in a steel cage, and there's not much more I can say to it other than just to keep it simple.
Yeah. Do you get sick, I guess, of the topic itself, or because of what you said, like, you know that once you get in the octagon, it's not a real thing? Like, does that make it easier to kind of put up with all of the questions that you're getting about it?
Yeah, and I mean, even her coaches herself have said it before. It's harder for her because if she doesn't, you know, finish somebody off in 10 seconds, you know, and look invincible, then, you know, she looks like not as great of a dominant champion. I'm not experiencing that type of pressure, and I think that the most important thing is to just go to work, be you know, be myself, and just go and do what I have to do, and just focus on myself.
Do you think that there will be a moment in this fight where Amanda, I guess, like realizes that this is not going to be like my other fights? Like, do you think that that'll be like something visible that we see?
If you just go back and look at the tape and look at the fights that I have had, I've lost 2 fights in the last 10 years, and they were to champions, Valentina Shevchenko and Germaine. Those were fights that I was winning. I had them both dead in the water, and I made some amateur mistakes. Those are mistakes that I have fixed, and I plan on executing and not making those same mistakes. And so as long as I can go in there, stay focused, stay patient, and just execute my game plan and just be myself, I should have a good night.
Another thing a lot of us are talking about is your confidence. Do you find that weird sometimes? Like, of course I'm confident. Like, why would I go into this fight not confident? But it seems like, I mean, I see a lot of people saying it, like she really believes she's going to win this fight. Do you think it's kind of, like, what is your take on when you see all of us talking about the confidence that you have going into this?
I have an unwavering amount of faith in God, and making sure that I'm doing everything that I need to do in order to get my hand raised. So I did all the work, and then I have this unwavering faith and belief in myself. I almost feel like it's a David versus Goliath type situation where all this chips are stacked against me, and I just know that at the end of the day I have faith in God, and I have faith in my abilities, and I have faith in my skill set, and I think that strong mentality has carried me through in all of my fights. I didn't just poof fall out of a parachute and get here. I have been working for this my entire life, and this is my life's work. This is something that I've worked very hard for. I'm worthy to be here, and I am definitely excited to show my growth and to show what I'm capable of doing. The world is my oyster. I have the ability to do anything that I want in life.
When you were, when you look back on how you got here, like What was like the one moment that kind of was that fork in the road in your life of where you went this way and that's what's led you to be in a UFC championship fight? Like, what was that moment in your life, do you think?
I would say maybe one of those moments was having the door opened to women and the possibility of women fighting in the UFC to begin with. It was something that was taboo, forbidden, and they weren't even allowing the thought of women to fight in the UFC. So once that door opened, that was definitely something that I realized, hey, you can make a career out of this. And then once you get into this division, you're not getting into this division to be bottom of the barrel. You're not getting in this division to be at the bottom tier. You're in this division to fight the best in the world. And I have been fighting the best in the world. I've literally fought in the top 5 every single time. All I have fought is tough fights. They've all been former world champions. They've all been top 5. They've all been girls that are the best in the world at the top of the division. And I've had nothing but tough fights. And I think that challenging myself is the reason why people do anything, why they get out of bed. You have to challenge yourself, and I'm in here to fight the best in the world and to prove myself as one of the best in the world.
I saw on your Instagram too that you gave a lot of credit for your confidence to your mama.
Yes.
What role has she played in the confidence that you have?
You know, my mom's a fighter, and my mom unfortunately wasn't able to showcase that fight much in her own life because she had things that derailed her, you know, very strict parents, or even, you know, my dad, they've been married for 45 years, but back then it was like, you know, make my sandwich, make my bed, you know, it was kind of like a know your role type of situation. And so she was put in situations where, even against her brother-in-law, where she's getting in fistfights with her brother-in-law because for whatever reason, and she couldn't fight back. She was always being held down and always having a thumb on top of her. So her having 4 children and me being the baby, she raised me very differently than she raised my other 3 siblings. Her mentality for me is, you don't stand down, you don't you know, cower down, you fight back, you know. And I think that that was one thing that she instilled in me, is you don't take anything from anybody, you stand up for yourself and you fight back. And so I think that fighter that she couldn't necessarily portray, she instilled that in me, and that work ethic. She has an incredible amount of work ethic, and she raised me to be her little fighter. And, you know, I credit most of my success to her. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. And I credit that tough grind mentality, that, you know, that type of work ethic that you only get from working in the fields to my mom.
Where will she be for the fight?
She will be cage side with my daughter and with my dad.
Okay. Does she
Yes.
watch? I know a lot of moms do this. Does she go watch?
Yeah, she's going to watch. You know, she's going to definitely be with her heart in her throat. But I remember back in the day when I was fighting on Rick's amateur shows, she'd be clinging to the cage and be like, "Kill her, Julianna, kill her!" And I remember one instance, I was fighting in Fairfax when I had just come back from tearing my knee out, and she was in the Raptors. And I remember being on top of the girl, and I was elbowing her, and I could literally hear her like in my ear, even though she was way up in the stands. And she was like, "Finish her, choke her, Julianna." And I was like, man, is my mom in my corner? Like, I can hear her distinctively out of anywhere in the crowd. And so she's my biggest supporter. She gives me strength, and I want to do it for her.
Yeah. And you said you credited, you know, that grinding type, ugly, you know, just get through anything. Is that how this fight has to be for you to win? I think a lot of people expect that. If Julianna wins, it's got to be ugly. Is that correct? Or
none of my fights have been pretty. You know what I mean? None of my fights has been this Taylor, I touch you with my pinky finger and you got knocked out. That's not the way that fighting is. That's a fairy tale. And I think that if you go back again and watch any of my fights, you can see that they have been grinding, ugly fights. And anybody that has gotten in there with me has never said, "Oh, that was just the easiest fight of my life." They had to work. They had to work for every inch that they got on me. And, you know, that's just my style of fighting. That is why I am the worst stylistic matchup for Amanda.
So final question for you. What do you think it's going to feel like to get your hand raised over Amanda Nunes to win a UFC championship, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas? What is it going to feel like?
It's going to be the best feeling in the world. You know, next to having my daughter, it's going to be, you know, and next to winning the Ultimate Fighter, which was a great accomplishment for me as well, it will mean the world to me. It's so important, and it's my life's work, and so it really truly means a lot to me. I'm ready to step into that light. I'm ready to be that role model to let people know that if I can do it, you can do it too.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.